चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापः न शोषयति मारुतः अच्छेद्योऽयमदाह्योऽयम् अक्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च नित्यः सर्वगतस्तानुः अचलोऽयं सनातनः अव्यक्तोऽयमचिन्त्योऽयम् अविकार्योऽयमुच्यते तस्मादेवं विदित्वैनं नानुशोचितुमर्हसि अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतम् तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैवं शोचितुमर्हसि जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युः ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मादपरिहार्येते न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि अव्यक्तादीनि भूतानि व्यक्तमध्यानि भारत।
ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। वसुदेव सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. In the second chapter and in the 24th verse, Shri Krishna Bhagavan says, the spirit of life, the Jivatma, is unbreakable, incombustible. It can neither be dampened nor dried. It is everlasting, present in all the places, that is omnipresent, unalterable, immovable, and it is primordial. Achedyoyam means the arms cannot destroy or cut it. Adayoyam means Jivatma cannot be burnt. Akledyaha means it cannot be dampened or made wet. Ashoshaha means it cannot be disturbed by wind. It is said, Agastya Maharshi dried the sea, but no one can drive the spirit of life, that is the Jivatma, which is part of Paramatma himself. It is Nityaha, eternal, everlasting. Sarvagataha means spirit of life is in the same form as in all the bodies, and it is Ekarupa, in one form. Achalaha, immobile or immovable. Sthanuhu, standing firmly without wavering. Sanatanaha, it is eternal, ancient. Sarvagataha, omnipresent, and is Paripurna, it's complete. As a result, it cannot reunite with the Jivatma is the only one which can reunite with the Paramatma, and that is called as liberation or salvation or Jivan Mukti. In the 25th Sloka, Shri Krishna says, the spirit of life or Shariri or Jivatma is invisible, inconceivable, and unchangeable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the mortal body which carries it. Avyaktoyam means our eyes, made up of material energy, can see only the material or the gross things. The divine spirit of life is invisible and our mortal eyes cannot see it. Anchintyoyam means beyond the senses are the objects of subtle senses like intelligence, chitta and mind, but still they can be comprehended. What is happening in the mind or intellect can be comprehended, but no one can comprehend divine soul. Avikaryoya muchyate means the spirit of life, the divine soul, is unblemished. There is not even an iota of change at any time. Unlike the mortal things, the divine soul does not have any defect or anomaly in it. Here in 24th and 25th verse, Sri Krishna says the divine soul as Achedyaha, Adayaha, Akledya, Ashosya, Achalaha, Avyaktaha, Anchitya and Avikaryaha. That means the 8 special features of divine soul are mentioned apart from the 4 more unique features, that is Nitya, it is eternal, Sarvagataha in the same form, Sthanuhu firm and Sanatanaha or eternal. So thus he describes totally 12 features of this divine soul. Rightly, Shri Krishna is called as Jagadguru as he is preaching the same thing repeatedly, Punaruchara, because he wants to hammer into the head of his disciple the points he is trying to teach. This repetition makes us realize and understand better. Tasmadevam avidyata nam nanu shochitu marhasi means the divine soul which cannot be cut into pieces or wet or dried or burned, which is immortal and eternal. For such a thing, why are you weeping? Why are you depressed? He asks Arjuna. Some of the things he narrates in 26th verse and says, Hey Mahabahu, in case you think that self is subject to constant birth and death, O mighty armed Arjuna, even then you should not grieve like this. In this verse, Bhagavan utters 2 words, Atachainam and Manasse. The divine soul never takes birth or dies, but this nature, birth and death are constantly occurring to the mortal body. For example, you take the seed. Once it is sowed in the soil, it loses its hardness and becomes soft, and then it sprouts and becomes a tender sapling, grows into a tree, and then the flowers and the fruits grow, and from the fruits the seeds again spread and another sapling comes out. Then the original tree becomes old, dries and dies. In the same way, the sperm unites with the ovum, becomes a zygote and grows into a fetus, and then takes birth as a newborn and grows into a child, and then a young man marries and reproduces the children and becomes old, and ultimately he dies. So this is the law of nature. The change is the only constant thing in this nature, that is the mortal world. So don't feel sad, and this process of change, which is inevitable. In the next 27th verse, Shri Krishna says, Death is certain for the one who is born, and rebirth is inevitable for one who has died. Therefore, you should not lament over the inevitable. Jatasihi dhruvo mrityo dhruvam. Namma janma mrityasya means the one which is born has to certainly die, and rebirth is inevitable. It has to take rebirth. Tasmada pariharyate natvam shochitu marhasi. Nobody can overcome this flow of birth and death. This birth and death and rebirth is a continuous process, so don't grieve over it. Yes, when near and dear die during the distress, and the people grieve as they are ignorant of life cycle and constant change in the nature. Without this changing process, the world cannot continue. But the divine soul, Jivatma, which is a tiny part of Supreme Being, that is Paramatma, is immortal, eternal, and does not change or cannot be destroyed. So Arjuna, if one realizes the ultimate truth, then he will not grieve. Life is inescapable dead end, you should realize. I don't know how many of us have noticed during Shraddha after the cremation, near and dear are called and sumptuous food is distributed to celebrate the liberation of or salvation of the divine soul. And since many years, our ancestors have been following this. In the 18th verse, Bhagavan says, O descendant of Bharata, all created things are unmanifest, aprakata, before birth, and manifest during the life after birth, and again disappear, become unmanifest after death. So, why grieve for this? Thus, Sri Krishna dispels the cause of grieving for death of mortal body, and he says, Avyaktadini Bhutani. All living beings are not visible before birth, means they are not manifest. Avyakta Nidanadneva means after the death of mortal body, again they are not manifest. Here, further he says, Vyaktamadhyani means in between the birth and death during life it is manifest, and that is illusion. Tatraka Paradevana, the one which is not manifest before the birth or after that is not there in between. And the mortal life, the mortal body is illusionary, temporary, and causes attachment, moha, and that is the reason people become sad and they start weeping. So don't grieve over asat, anitya. Here we can recollect the interesting story of Pandavas in exile. During the exile, when Yudhishthira feels thirsty, he asks for water. So first Bhima goes and then all the other brothers go and they never come back. Dharmaraya, surprised, he goes in search of his brothers, and then he reaches the pond and finds his brothers lying down dead. And then a Yaksha comes and asks Yaksha Prashne. He answers all the 60 questions correctly, and one of the questions is, what is the most surprising thing in this world? Dharmaraya replies, at every moment people are dying. Those who are alive are witnessing this phenomena, and yet they do not think that one day they are also going to die. What can be more astonishing than this, he questions. And that means the person who asked question as a Yaksha was a Yamadharmaraya, the god of death, and this is the ultimate truth. The death has to come, but still we forget that all of us we have to die, and we indulge in greed and all sorts of unworthy actions. So Krishna Paramatma explains these verses that life is inescapable, a dead end. So wise persons do not grieve over inevitable. So let us learn a lesson not to grieve but to treasure the good deeds and the sweet memories of dead. And that is why in Bharatavarsha we have a tradition of celebrating the death anniversary of great people and the great souls, and we have a great tradition to follow. Shri Krishnarpanamastu Pranama.